Arrow Astral combination that you can play off of from the laning phase, but beyond that, you might have some awkward moments if you don't have your OD around and you don't have Yarrow. Might be harder to lock those heroes in than you'd expect. I do like this though. It's a bit faster from Fnatic. At least not as slow as, say, the Morphling Doom, so they can get running early on. Execration, they went for the Morphling themselves. They have to look to slow the pace down a bit more, get Palos space, and they do close their draft with a Void Spirit. So you've got a way to jump in the back, right? Reach that drow and try to burst her down.
What I fear for Execration here with this kind of draft is once we get into that mid to late game, I think that the fights do become very tough. I don't see much team fight from them. Like, you've got the sustain from the Omni Knight, but that's pretty much it. Apart from that, it's very single person orientated. You're trying to get a single target and then move on from there. You could make the same argument for Fnatic, but when you've got Moon on that OD, that's going to go for the Aghanim Scepter, and he's going to have double Astral Imprisonment. You've got the Mirana Arrow to fly in, you've got the Soulbind, you've got the double Rupture, you've got the Blood Right. I don't think Execration's draft is really going to be able to deal well with what Fnatic's bringing out.
5 seconds.
Yeah, it's a back and forth. I think you do, because you lack that team fight, you're putting so much emphasis here on BDZ to get some big steals. So the Blood Rights want to watch out for. Even Soulbind would be pretty nice for this lineup on Execration, but there's a lot of pressure there. Execration, what they're looking for is level 6 timings, especially in RR on the pause 5 clock. So once you've got the hook ready, can play faster. You have to punish this drow, prevent it from hitting that timing that we talked about, like 10 minutes in with 3 rate bands and power treads is a scary part for the drow. And then you build into the Dragonlance, it gets a lot harder to manage her. So Execration do have to play that faster game while buying space for Palos. Have to be wary of that 5v5 as you mentioned. And Fnatic, they've got to make this one work. This one is most definitely faster. We've got Forev on something he's comfy with the Bloodseeker. They've got the DJ Mirana, which is always fabulous to watch. And we'll see how much impact they can have in that early game if they can stem the tide from Execration.
Yeah, should be fun. We'll get into it. Game number 2. See if Fnatic can get their first 2-0 victory over a team. And Execration again, just trying to get a draw if they can. Very curious as well. Again, with this Omni Knight, just Raging Potato going to be in that off-lane Omni. See how effective he can be. Of course, Sustain does prove to be quite annoying in the middle of a team fight. Especially for the other team, but well, there's probably a good reason why we haven't seen the Omni Knight as of late.
Yeah, its presence is very odd, and in this case for Execration, like any duo you have with this Omni isn't like it's amazing. Rubik plus Omni itself, I'd say it needs a few levels. Maybe level 4 is where you really start to feel comfy here on the Omni Knight. There are ways for Fnatic to really apply that pressure. You've got Raven and Zephyr who's going to be up there. So the Grimstroke can just kind of play tag. Stroke of Fate spam, followed by some Frost Arrows, and then once you have the level 2 up with multi-shot, it can be difficult to out-sustain that damage. We'll have to watch Raging Potato's facing. He has seemed on point though. Like earlier today, his first game looked really good. And we'll see if he can maintain that presence in the offlane in this second game.
How can I forget? We have some odds to bring up as well, John. I haven't brought those up yet. One moment though, as we might have a teamfight breakout.
The moment you've all been waiting for.
We won't. Looks like Raven will just go in for a quick Frost Arrow onto BDZ, but that's going to be it. And let's have a look at those odds. What's going on here? So Fnatic are going to be the favorites again going into this this game number 2, which is fairly natural, especially considering they did win game number 1. So it is to be expected that they do go, they do have the favorite odds, but still wouldn't really rule out Execration in this game 2. I don't know how to feel about the draft, but just judging by their play in game 1, they certainly have what it takes to beat this team.
Yeah, you can already sort of see those issues in the draft though. Like up top, Raging Potato, he will need to really spam that purification. A level 1 cooldown is so massive, and there's just so much damage here early on from Zephyr and Raven. Like, you go in, you cop some Frost Arrows, suddenly you're not trading well. Even Zephyr, just running down BDZ. Not the most fantastic moments, and again, it will take some investment here for Raging to be up and running on that Omni. Just the nature of the hero.
It is. So they did try to push the wave in very, very early up against that Drow and try to get it to farm underneath that tier 1 tower, which is quite hellish for a Drow at level 1. They weren't able to get it done because Zephyr was making sure he committed the stroke of fate, and Raven was pushing out the wave, and Raven is now really starting to dominate this lane with those Frost Arrows. Still, we'll have a look at the other lanes. Mid lane, you'll see Ken with, or rather up against Moon. In terms of CS, Ken should have a decent enough time, but it is going to be a matter of these Astral Imprisonments from Moon that is going to make it so he might struggle later on.
Yeah, the big issue in this matchup is, Resonant Pulse isn't going to block that damage that comes out from the Astral, so Moon can shove out these waves fine. They are trading evenly on last hits. The big timer here is level 6. You're going to have a bigger spike from Ken. It's just the nature of the Void Spirit. Really nice level 6 with a step. Santi's not as impactful for Moon. Of course, the power runes are going to be super important as well, and that's where the supports come in. And you can see bot RR. He's really just trying to zone 4Ev out. It's not been an easy time for a Bloodseeker, which isn't what we're used to seeing for the hero.
No, it has not been. For Ev, his objective, of course, again, is to just push out the wave towards the tower and get the level advantage over Palos, but that really hasn't been the case this game, at least for now. Just keep it up and see what he can get done. DJ's already left that lane. He'll go down towards the mid lane, and that is a great arrow out from DJ. Perfectly timed. That's one thing we kind of forgot about, John. The Astral Arrow is going to be up for Fnatic.
Yeah, and that just makes those mid rotations a lot more potent. DJ just on the mark. And as long as they keep that up, that's going to stall out the progress for Ken. Not what you want if you're the Void Spirit. He will need some backup. And the issue is, if Rubik as a support coming in doesn't have the same influence. So you're going to have to watch that here.
Alright. Gonna go for a battery assault onto DJ. He does still have a leap charge and of course has forever round. So DJ gonna go back in onto Aran. That battery assault is about to wear off. It looks like he can't really safely trade harass here with the clockwork. It might just make another mid rotation. I mean, there's no reason not to. If Moon can hit the Astral, it's gonna mean a guaranteed arrow from DJ and should theoretically mean a guaranteed kill.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit risky for Ken. He's applying pressure onto Moon. Perhaps start setting eyes on those power runes. Even RR now making his way there to put a bit of a fight here.
Arrow gonna fly through. That will allow DJ to leap in for the regen rune and actually does get a bit of value out of it, as it really wasn't cancelled off for a couple seconds. Not exactly the hero he wanted to give that regen rune to, though. Of course, he would have loved Moon to have it, but there was no option. He had to take it.
Yeah, and you're still satisfied denying that from Ken in the end.
Here
Oh.
Arrow, is it going to be timed? Oh, nice to simulate out. Back into Moon. Ken knows now he can try to go for the OD kill. Almost has it. Can he get a couple more hits in? Not quite. He has to turn back around and run back towards his tier 1 tower, but he has gone too far. He has no spells left, and that should mean DJ gets another arrow out unless the lift comes in from BDZ, but DJ is not done. But Ken eats the Fairy Fire, turns back around with the Simulate, and does kill off DJ on the Mirana. Moon cannot finish off the job. Oh, Ken. He barely makes it work.
And barely, doesn't matter when you do live. He's going to be very satisfied with himself. Really good rotation coming out from BDZ, finding that opportunity as well. And Fnatic, it's going to sting a bit. You don't drop Moon, but you are slowing your pace down just a tad by not finding that kill. Execration going to be glad with that.
Lift up.
That was such a long time, right?
Into the Remnant and Assimilate into the Resonant Pulse, and Moon he's going to lose a lot of HP. Luckily for him, the raindrops did actually save his life. The Fade Bolt could not do as much damage as it should have, but he is going to have to make the walk back to the fountain.
For Dire's middle tower.
Yeah, it's not what you want there. Still, you've got some pressure up top. They're whacking onto Raging as well.
Raging's going to be slowed down quite a lot from that multi-shot from Raven, and yeah, Raging, he might just be gone. He uses the Purification, but Raven can easily just orb walk forward and does get another kill for himself, or rather the first kill for himself. It's going to make him feel very, very happy in the safe lane.
Definitely. It's been a smooth start for a Drow. Take a look at the last hits. #1 so far, Raven. It's that weakness in laning. Like, Raging just can't do as much as he'd want, and since BDZ's forced to rotate mid to help that lane out, you're just not finding a way to stop that Drow.
Oh, DJ kills off Palos down at the bot lane now. Like, he did connect an arrow. Seemed to be enough. DJ has been very influential already on this Mirana, sitting at 2-1. He's going to start rotating through that mid lane, but as I was talking about that top lane, he'll make a rotation and now get Zephyr.
Yeah, it's a worthwhile rotation for our Void Spirit. He's at that level 6 mark. He is, you know, starting to hunt for those kills. Really important for the Void Spirit to start to escalate. That is one down. Gonna look for more, but Fnatic aren't gonna make that easy. They still maintain a slight net worth lead. And Execration right now, they just need to get some levels up. They're not quite in the spot for them to really go fighting. They need those level 6s to be up and running before really getting any big moves, especially on RR. You need that hook shot up on the clock, start setting up some openings, you know, start exploiting that Drow, but until then, it's going to be a bit trickier.
Well, Palos has to be a bit wary down at that bot lane. It could be very dangerous for him. Rupture going to be out onto RR. Forev looking for the Blood Right, does eventually get it off, but RR is going to be out of that range, but multi-shot is not going to connect RR, just barely surviving. And even the arrow that was meant to fly in from DJ being taken by Ken. Now they look to try and turn back around DJ. He's going to be just more than safe, I believe. Ken should not have the damage to take out DJ at full HP. And it looks like our Mirana is still going to go on the hunt and see if he can find this Clockwork. And he would be right. He's going to run straight into him. He has the arrow. We'll spot him out, but it's going to be hard to land it. And it looks like DJ is just going to back out.
Yeah, it's not what you want. A bit of a missed opportunity. That does buy space out here. Raging Potato was just free farming top, but you also had that same situation mid. Moon, now level 8, has his power treads, saving up for the Ags. So it's going to be that basic Ags rush on the OD as we tend to see. Once you've got that, you're in a position to start these fights, but Execration aren't going to make that space easy. They're already dragging heroes up top, looking for a kill onto Zephyr.
That should be an easy one to get. Zephyr is just a bit out of position here, and he'll throw the Inkswell out, but that's pretty much all he can do. That'll mean Execration to get another support pick off and can start working towards that top tier 1. However, the bottom tier 1 is already going down from Fnatic. And that does mean they'll have time to go for the defense up top if they wish.
Yeah, I think they're going to be happy enough to just let it go. Pretty much a dead lane for Raven. He's just going to spend his time farming up elsewhere. This does, again, buy them time to keep Moon growing. That's the biggest thing. Moon is still a long ways off until being an influential hero on mid, and they just need to play it safe. Execration is using this time well, having Palos farm up with his Morbid Mask, of course, doesn't take as much for the morph. He is a bit safer. I love the wards from Execration though, really deep into that top jungle. Might make it riskier for Raven if he does play in that top jungle, and again, once you've got this hook on RR, which is still a far way off, they can start to hunt there, and makes it a bit threatening for Fnatic if they want to farm safely in that top jungle.
Sad to see RR does not have the new Clockwork hook. It's using a hammer, John, which doesn't make too much sense.
You should give him one, Mike. I'm sure you have 20 copies or something.
I do have a lot of them. I must admit, though, I did recycle them now, John. And still didn't get the Ultra Rare Phoenix. Very, very upset.
Of course. You should ask DJ. Maybe he has a spare.
Probably does. Fnatic showing up in that mid lane once again. There's really been not much attention being set onto Moon, I've got to admit, right? Like, he has had a very free game thus far on that OD. He hasn't bothered to try to go for that Midas build-up, but rather straight into the Axe, and now he'll go for a quick Astral onto the Void Spirit, but Zephyr is again going to be in a spot of danger, and we do actually have a disconnection flying out as DJ. The disconnect from the game, but I do believe that should just be Zephyr dead, and it looks like there will be no rebuttal from Fnatic.
No. That was the first hook shot coming out here for RR. Not quite the target they'd want, but again, you'll take what you can get. This should give Fnatic an idea that their jungle is warded, so they might get the D-wards off, and you might lose that control you have here.
Ken does get up the kill. Arrow gonna fly through with that Astral, connecting perfectly on Palos. But Moon won't be able to focus him down, so instead he'll go after RR. Gets a fair bit of damage off, but that'll be it. Be happy to just leave it at that. And with Fnatic right now, like with their draft, they're just farming so much more efficiently that they just don't seem to really care for big team fights. It is a slower draft, and as long as they are ahead in net worth, they're going to be okay to just keep farming.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Raven here still up there in that fort, along with Moon. You're going to see that Dragonlance on the Drow really soon, so 2 Wraith Bands, Dragonlance, that's a very good point. Going to set yourself up for some nice farm.
Yeah, Moon just blows up RR very easily. Uses the Sanity's Eclipse